So the formulative way of 5S in the manufacturing is it's a process to create safe, neat, and organized and efficient workplace. But in layman terms, the 5S is improvement of the working environment. Last 25 years, I've been working here. When I first introduced to me as a 5S, there was a tool in lean manufacturing, but after 25 years and in our last organizations, now we consider 5S. It's not just a tool, it is a way of life. You can apply 5S in every part of your life, in daily part of your life, in work, at home, or in a workplace. So what 5S can do, let's talk about the benefits of 5S before we get into the 5S. Well, what are the 5S's are? So what the 5S can do, the first and most, improve the safety of the work environment. जितना भी काम कर लें, जितना भी, the first key thing is the safety of the workers and the safety of the workplace. We want every worker to come into the company as in a good, healthy environment, in a good, healthy way. And when he leaves the company, that ends that day, will leaves as the same way when he comes in a good and a healthy way. So the first most thing is what the 5S can do is improve the safety. The second 5S thing can do is identify all the abnormalities in the processes. What are things that are wrong, what we're doing wrong in the process, or what are we going to do differently that needs to be done in a working process. It also helps us identify all the different waste, the 7 waste, which is the key TPS activities to eliminate all the wastes, which is soap production, inventory, weighting, motion. There's a whole different topic. We can go in a different waste beside the 5S. And last but not least, we can use the 8th waste, which is also not using the employee's mind and skills, like means that you can put a wrong person in a different process that with different sales skills, and that's also waste in the process. And last but not least, we can also improve with all those, and if all the abnormalities and the wastes, we can improve the production or the productivity of one of the given processes. So what is the 5S system? Let's dig into the 5S. Basically, 5 steps in the system, the 5 S's, and those 5 S's are with a sort. The second is set in order. The third is shine. The 4th is standardize, and the 5th is stain. Well, these steps will feed into each other, so the sequence is very important. You cannot do number 3 instead of number 2, and not doing number 1. The same way, you cannot sustain the process if you cannot set the order or sort or shine. So the sequence is very important in the 5S system. To give you a little definition of what the 5 S's are. First is sort. The 5S basically is generated from the Japanese term. So the sort, which is siri, so which is like removing the unnecessary item from each area. And we're going to go to the introduction of those 5 S's, and then we're going to go deep into those examples and what are the 5 S's and how we can implement the 5 S's in the working environment. First is sort. Second is ton, which is set, which organize and identify the storage for efficient use, which means basically you can put the right part in right area and not to go help and look around in different areas. Set the working place. Shine, which is also misconception. The shine is the clean and inspect of each regular area, and I will also discuss in detail what is shine and what people think what is shine. But there's a principle behind the shine, 3S. Fourth is standardize, which is really key. After we've done the 1 and 2, which is incorporate the 5S into the standard operating procedure, or everybody knows these as SOPs. So you have to standardize the process once you finish all the 3 S's. And the fifth, the last, and sustain. Once you standardize the operation, and once you sort, set, and shine, you have to assign the responsibilities and track the process with all the different check sheets in the continuous cycle. So these are basically the 5 S's, the definitions, and what are the 5 S's and what are the definitions are. So let's go deep in the first process, which is sort, and which also translates to tidiness. The first S also eliminates unnecessary items from the workplace. Once you sort all the different items, what things are necessary and unnecessary in your working area. So you eliminate those two, and I'll give you example what are the examples are. But first step is just to eliminate the unnecessary item from the workplace. Then you can categorize the parts which is not necessary and into 3 different categories: the necessary, unnecessary, and may not be necessary. So you can categorize those 3 areas into the workplace and then try to sort it out. As you see on the right hand side, they give example that you can talk with among your peers or your groups or the work related people, that what things you may need, or what things you can allocate those areas, what things you may need, what you definitely need it, and what you think that is definitely not needed. So you can divide into 3 different categories. Examples of sortings are: the first, you place one of the key things that you do is to place a red tag area. You can place the red tags in different parts, and in those red tags, you can identify that these times definitely needed and not needed and may be needed. So you can allocate those and put those tags into those parts. Here you move the items to you make a layout area in a plant. You fix that area where you place all those areas, and you can keep the red tags onto it. And once you place the red tag, and you can put also the timeline on it, but how long that parts that needs to be there, and once not, then you can move those parts into the central storage area. And this is all part of sorting for those items that you don't need it. What happens from the sorting is you can see in the area that there's so many things that you may not be needed to do that process or do that work into that workstation, and you can free up all the valuable spaces that might need in the future or expansion. And also, you can find out once you're sorting, you also find out the parts that are missing or parts which is not working right, and you can make all the list of the equipments and tools that may need it, or you need to order those parts. So you find all the abnormalities of the equipments and tools once you do the first sorting. Second step is set in order, and as it says that it translates to orderliness. That is the finding of the efficient and storage area, the necessary items, which means basically relates to the things that you need, which should be within reach or close to your workstation or workplace, and the rest of the item which is not needed should be gone into the 1S, which is the sort. Also, you can have consensus among the coworkers and where and how to organize the work area. You can find out which roughly translates to if you have 3 shifts. So you can also communicate with the second and third shifts people how to organize the area, which is the better and efficient way to arrange those parts and tools within the storage area. One of the key things that you apply in the sort is the can see, can take out, and can return policy, which means that basically there's the same times and energy to if you're looking for something, that if you see something and you take it out from your work area, this is your responsibility to return that part or tool within the work cell once you finish the process. The example settings will be one of the key things are the numbering the tools, or color coding, or clear the zone areas, or labeling the items that needs to be labeled, like the wrench and the tools and the screw wrenches, or if you have any of the other tools that you should label. If you have multiple, one item have multiple things, you should try to color coding according to the needs and the layouts of your area. This is one of the examples of how do you organize the clipboards and the clearly label what items are needed and what items are there, and so it's easy to see where are the parts and located in that work area. Also setting up, so we need certain items which helps us to minimize the workflow. You can build up a 5S map within the work sessions, and that will help us to minimize the unnecessary movements from one person to move from one area to another area. So setting and sorting can give you a good example of how to do a workflow of your work area. And you can also minimize the steps and the movements. Number 3 is shine, which is roughly translated to the cleanliness. This is, as it says, the shine is also attacks the grit and grims of the building up underneath the workstation, that then the work's coming from it from a different area. It's also in
Sorry, your voice.
okay. The philosophy behind the shine is that you need to clean the area every day, and you keep going cleaning every day the same thing. You need to find out the sources of that dirt or the grains. So yeah, the philosophy behind is to find the source and just eliminate that source within the work cell. Once you start cleaning and you keep cleaning every day, it's easy to spot all the cracks and misalignments of the equipment and the leaks if there's something happens to the equipment. So it's very easy to spot the leaks and cracks and misalignments in the area. Other examples are regular cleaning and maintenance equipment and tools, which does not mean that it's a spring cleaning and you do it once a week or twice a week, but it's a regular cleaning of every day of your area. You also do a periodic checkups of the equipment in the survey area, which is more visible, such as leaks, the vibration, the misalignments, and the breakage. Once you've done that one and S1, 2, and 3, the key focus becomes the standardized. You keep doing it, the sorting. Once you do the sorting, you know how it sorts the area. Once you do the setup, you know how to set up your work area. And once you shine it, now it's clean, it's set. So now you standardize. Standardize is, as I said, standardize and maintain the environment where S1 and S3 are implemented in the same manner throughout organizations or in your work area. The example of standardizations are work sessions, the SOPs. Once you develop the standard work operation, it means that process needs to be done exactly the same way as described in the SOPs or in the work instructions. You produce the labels and signs in the operating instruction and on their operating instructions, which tells us what's the capacity of the machine and how the machine can work, and what are the preventive maintenance that be done on the machine daily. You also do a 5S checklist provides, you do the 5S checklist, which provides a simple ordering tool to check the progress later on, which translates to that if you do a 5S in the morning, you do a 5S checkup sheet in the afternoon, which is the basic standard tool or basic standardized process that every worker has to follow in that area. And also one of the standardized processing is that the color coding of the waste is if you have a battery, a non-battery or lithium battery, which can be recycled or not recycled, so you can easily color code those bins into that area, and you can deploy those into the workstations. So basically, the standardized working is help us to do the work in the same way as was done by all the 1 to 3 S's that we followed. The first step is key. Once you do the sort, when you set up, once you shine, and you do the sustained. Now it's also you standardize. Now it's the time to sustain, which is maintaining the S1 to S4 in a commitment and empowerment from the management. All those 5 S's comes from the 5th S come from the commitment from the management, upper management. As I said, it's focused on defining a new mindset and understanding the work area. The key things are that you have to refocusing all the 3 S's, the 4 S's with the involvement of the employees on the floor or the supervisors, which basically tells us, well, once you keep doing it over and over again every day, it redefines the mindset and the standards in the workplace. An example of the stains. Stains are the first most is coming from the management support. I mean, you have to the upper manager has to support all the 5S activities, the S1, S2, S3, and 4 to sustain that process within the working area. You also have to do a regular process reporting, all the 5S check sheets that needs to be done, all those the 5S cleaning areas needs to be done. So all the supervisors and your managers needs to be regularly checking those progress reports within your work area. Also, once a month or twice a month, you need to do refreshment trainings of the new employees who are hired or the same person to hire to how to improve the 5 S's or how to maintain or increase their 5S scores. And also, as I said, that they have to keep their 5S activities in a proper device and continuously further improvements and keep pushing and keep improving the 5S activities and 5S scores in that area. And also, last but not least, the upper management has to appreciate, recognize all the good 5 activities was done at the floor level or in the working area, and you have to award, recognize those appreciations and the activities that was doing those processes. As we said, there are 5 S's, but there's also, after the last 5 or 10 years, there's also another S, which is safety, which is, I've been with the companies for the last 25 years, and in my last organization, the big organizations, they have all the set tools and everything, all the processes are defined, and the whole purpose for their 5S is for the safety, which is admirable. That's the only thing they do. 5S, the focus is for the safety, and that's why it becomes one of the 6 S's. It's no surprise. I mean, 5S can increase the workplace efficiency if you reduce the cost improvement and the quality, but lose the sight of the human factor. Most of the companies are looking for the placing the good quality parts in an efficient way, but they lose the sight of the human factor. That's why. But one of the key factors within 5S is the safety of employees who comes in the company and leaves the same way it comes in and goes out. These days, not these days, but the last 5 to 10 years, the worker safety is really crucial, and I think that's the right thing to do. And as I mentioned before, the safety S is not the sequential steps. It's not the part of the 5 S's, but it should be considered as one of the key things in a 5S practices. So let's discuss about the detail about what are the benefits of 5 S's. We talk about what are the 5 S's are.